Hi everyone.
Hi, sir.
So today we are going to discuss important topic strategic management, strategic management process. Right. So in the strategic management process, it will be implemented in that design thinking. Right. So what are the stages of design thinking? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Right. So in the strategic management process, it will be implemented in that design thinking methodology. Okay. We will see one by one. So what do you mean by the strategic management process? It's like for example, you take it as a strategy formulation, right? First one, strategy formulation, then strategy implementation, strategy evaluation, and strategic control, right? So this is the process of strategic management process. Okay. So strategic formulation is nothing but strategic planning. So whatever it is, every business you have to plan first. Okay. So same like that, it will be implemented in the empathize. You have to understand the customer needs, right? So what are the problems they are facing? So what are the needs? So everything you have to identify. So you have to identify in the empathy stage. Okay. So define stage, you have to identify the correct problem. So in that problem, you are going to give the solution to that particular problem, right? So strategic formation, everything you have to strategic planning. So resource allocation, so manpower planning, right? So training and development. So everything, what are the things we are doing in that, we have to plan first, right? Okay, strategic planning. Next one, strategic implementation. So everything you have to design. Okay, so what are the things we are going to plan? So everything you have to design. So in the strategic implementation, we are going to implement. So it will be reflected in the different stage. So what is the problem they are facing? Right? That is the difference. So which one is the customer needs and wants? Because they have a number of needs and wants are there. But in our product, in our business, who are our target customers? Right? So you have to define. Then strategic implementation, it will be reflected in the next one is ideation. Right? Strategic implementation, it will be reflected in the strategic ideation. I mean that ideation. Ideation is something that you have to create a number of ideas. So for example, I am going to conduct a brainstorming session. Okay? So what do you mean by brainstorming session? I will give the problem to each one. Right? The problem will be the same, but the solution will be different. But in my perception or in my suggestion, I am going to select the best solution. Right? For the problem, I am going to select the best solution to that particular problem. That is the brainstorming session. So strategic planning, strategic formulation, next strategic implementation, next one strategic evaluation. So next prototype. So you have to build a model. Okay, you have to build a model. For example, if you are having the fan wheels, you are going to switch on the fan will be running. Right? So same thing, you have to build a model, you have to operate. Okay, so strategic planning, I mean the strategic formulation, then strategic implementation, then strategic evaluation. How to evaluate the strategy, whether it will be right or wrong. Okay, it's nothing but testing. Okay, so empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and testing. So you are going to test with the customers. Okay, for example, I'm going to manufacture a car, or I'm going to manufacture a bike, stylish bike. So in the bike or car, I'm going to do the test with my customers. For example, my target customers are adults. For example, 18 to 30. So stylish bike. So first I'm going to test with my employees. So any problem they are facing in the product, immediately I will rectify. Then I am going to sell the product to the customers. So then only the customers are satisfied. Okay? So strategic planning, next one is strategic formulation, strategic implementation, strategic evaluation, strategic control. So everything it will be okay means, so you have to control. Okay, so controlling all the activities, everything it will be smooth. That will be we are saying is a system. Right? If any business you can take that any sector, healthcare or manufacturing, automobile, whatever it is, any sector you can take a service sector. But you are having a system means everything it will be in smooth, right? So that is a strategic management process. So you can any doubt? Okay. So strategic management process, this is the flow. Okay. So strategic planning and the planning will be happening in that strategic formulation. Okay. Then everything it will be okay. Then come to the strategic implementation. Okay. Then strategic implementation, everything will be okay. You have to check with the evaluation. It will be testing. Right? You have to, for example, you have to recruit the employee in the organization. So after 3 months or 6 months, you are going to evaluation system. So to test the job performance in that particular job. So the strategy is very important for every business. Okay? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you all for coordinating this session. So we are going to discuss other topic in this. Thank you.
Thank you.